Well, I'm back, and if you're a subscriber, you may have noticed some changes regarding my channel art, and that's because of my new laptop, which allows me to do a lot more than a PlayStation, of course, and some new video editing software, which I still need some getting used to. So hopefully as time progresses, the quality of my content increases, as well as become more frequent. Anyways, moving on to the topic, I've been thinking about the gaming industry and the direction it's been headed throughout my time as a gamer, and granted, I'm only 16 years old, but I remember my gaming time since I was just about 2, a mere toddler, and I've pretty much played almost every system from the Atari onwards, and may I say games have changed quite drastically and very quickly. I mean, on a graphical and technological sense, we've went all the way from an 8-bit 2D pixelated game where we couldn't even recognize our characters' faces to stunning HD 4K technology, where we can immersify ourselves in these huge, beautiful open worlds that look almost just as real as our own. And all this happened within a span of just about 40 to 50 years, not even within a lifetime, and yet games are still evolving, becoming faster, more beautiful, and most importantly, cheaper and more accessible to the average populace. And to top it all off, it's happening faster than ever before. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that it's a great time to be a gamer. But with games becoming more and more mainstream and available to more people, there are eventually going to be more and more setbacks, errors, and actions that will affect the quality of our games. You see, today we live in a time where our wallet affects our gaming quality, and how this works, well, you create an overhyped game before its launch, and a situation where absent-minded people blindly spend their money by pre-ordering said games without studying its core mechanics and or seeing raw gameplay footage, and eventually the money stacks up until the game meets its deadline, only for people to get a game that's not what they anticipated and DLCs that should have been in day one in the first place. We see many situations like this in Call of Duty with their overpriced supply drops, Destiny with the Taken King DLC, even with DICE with, well, Hardline and Star Wars Battlefront. And of course there are many other factors that create situations like this, but it's mostly correlated to us gamers and the way we spend our money. So it also makes it our responsibility to use our money wisely to show these big companies the direction to take their games to please us consumers. You see, I remember when games used to be an art, where the creators would take their time to create a game that they would enjoy themselves, but marketing has made it so that games in many cases are just money bags that create a substantial amount of revenue. Now, I'm not saying that all games are like this today. I mean, there are the select few, like The Last of Us with its stunning visuals, compelling story, and team-based skilled multiplayer. And there are also other games like DayZ or Arma for those hardcore multiplayer survival fans who want to be immersified in realistic situations that can take place in real life. And then there are those fantasy RPG fans who want to be immersified in a world filled with legendary monsters, adventure, and a world unlike our own, such as Skyrim. You see, the difference between these well-made games and the games that many deem unsatisfactory is the fact that these creators for the most part had this creative vision and talent that was unwarranted by these huge corporate companies which only seek the profit that these games can potentially make. This results in a loss of creative vision and the ability to take risks to set exactly what your vision was on screen for the public to experience. And that's why smaller developers sometimes make such great games many people enjoy, and that's because they can remain transparent towards their audience and overall just don't have to deal with the pressures of these big companies manipulating their work behind the scenes. But the question is, has gaming changed? Well, my verdict says yes, though the real question was, for better or for worse? And I'd say both. Our technology has basically revitalized what gaming is like today, and for many generations to come. And sure, we may experience a bumpy road filled with dug trails along the way, but what is success without failures to come? And who knows, we may even get to have that Sword Art Online experience pretty soon. But what can we do as consumers? Well, first off, don't be a dumbass and do your research and be patient. The game will eventually come out, so decide whether or not it's worth your while when it does by using your research, constructive criticism, and preemptive thinking to decide whether or not it's worth your money. And also, support the smaller developers. There's tons of talent out there just waiting to be discovered, and besides, Hideo Kojima isn't going to last forever, guys. Eventually, someone has got to take the throne. So, that's it. That's my view of gaming so far, and oh, was that? You wanted more? Well, here's a link to my past videos, and here's a link to subscribe if you want to be updated on any of my future uploads, and oh, wait, I almost forgot. Here's a link to my Twitter page, of which I don't really use that often, but still useful? Anyways, you guys have a nice day, and I'll see you soon. Bye.